Does it still make sense to start working as a self-employed, as a freelancer in the Netherlands?
Yes.
I think it does.
And if entrepreneurship is calling, I think you cannot ignore it.
I think so. Yeah.
Go for it.
Yeah.
Hi, this is Rossella from Going Expat, and today I want to talk to you about being a freelancer in the Netherlands. In fact, in my previous videos, I have interviewed one by one a group of people who moved to the Netherlands and immediately or after a while decided to work as freelancers. Before we go deep into the conversation, I would like you to subscribe to the channel to support my job and share a little bit of appreciation. That said, we go straight to the topic of today. After moving to the Netherlands a few years ago, I decided I wanted to try this path of working as a self-employed, and I found my own agency, Going Expat. With Going Expat, I support and help people who want to move to the Netherlands, and recently I also start to work with freelancers and entrepreneurs in order to help them with their sales strategy. Work as a freelancer, especially if you're coming from corporate, is definitely a completely different world, and there are of course pros and cons, but I don't want to be the only one to talk about that. So through the video we will hear the voice and the story from these entrepreneurs, these freelancers who helped me build this video and shared about their stories in previous interviews. First thing that we need to say, and the first question that I ask to all of them, is that if it makes sense to still work as a freelancer in the Netherlands.
Yes, I think so because, okay, I'm quite new. I became a freelancer like 3 months ago. But to be honest, I think the Netherlands is a country that offers a lot of opportunities for everyone. So I think there is space for everyone, and everybody has different skills, even if we're working in the same fields.
I think it does. I think that there's a market for it, and I think a lot of it is cultural, where, in the United States, you go to a big box store and get whatever you need, or get onto Amazon and get whatever you need, and it shows up sometimes even that afternoon if you're at a big enough place. And that's not the culture here. It's very much a slowdown, and they want to support other small businesses. And I think it's really important that we do some research, and like, I don't, work with a business. I always look at reviews. I look and see, I ask my friends, have you had any experience with this type of business? Do you know anybody that I can contact? And like, it's a very network driven society from what I've seen in my short time here. And I think that that's still very different than what I used to experience in the United States.
Okay. The reason why I asked this question is because there are more than 28,000 people who are self-employed in the whole country. Actually, this number dropped in 2025. In fact, before that, there were way more freelancers. The reason why the number dropped is probably connected to the new rules that have been started in 2025 and are getting adjusted through this year.
There's a reason why the Netherlands, I think, is where there's a lot of freelancers and solopreneurs. And it's because it works and they have a supportive system here, which makes it very entrepreneur friendly. And I think the freelance community here is very supportive as well. So I think the caveat to that is to make sure that you know how to position yourself. Yes, there are a lot of freelancers, but there are also a lot of clients, and you need to know how to talk to your clients and what they are looking for. If you're offering a service or a product that will save time and help your target clients be successful as well, I think that will help you stand out. And then one last thing, like for me personally and professionally, I always think like, how will I know if I will be successful on the other side if I don't try it out?
So for me, if you have an idea and you're passionate about it, you have the skills, you have the knowledge, by all means, go for it, even if you think there are hundreds of people like you, because I really believe that you each offer something unique. There's no other person in the world like you. So you're not only offering your skills and your knowledge, it's also you.
Let's see what are the first things that you have to do or you need to make sure to have in mind when starting a business.
On the positive side, I think what somebody needs to know, especially when you're thinking, oh my God, I need to register my business. That must be very complicated. That must be difficult. No, it's the easiest thing that you can do when starting a business here in the Netherlands. You just fill in an application online, you make an appointment, and within half an hour, only with your passport, you just register your new business at the Chamber of Commerce. Netherlands also is a country that helps and support entrepreneurs. There are a lot of tax benefits. Having an accountant giving you some tips or advice from the beginning, or even helping you do your taxes, is really saving you from a lot of sweating and being anxious about your business.
I would say that you're trying to break into a network of people that are already here, who probably already speak Dutch, who may have more experience than you, and they don't know you, and they're maybe not comfortable vouching for you. So there's a bit of work to break in to that. So I would say if you can get involved in any kind of networking, whether that's professional organizations or paid networking groups, or even meet up and go to something for people who are scrum masters or people who whatever it is in your field, but go and connect with people and talk with people, because you never know who you're going to meet.
I think really what's important is to do the research. And I think I probably didn't do enough research. I was passionate about my idea and I just went with it. And there's nothing wrong with being passionate, but sometimes, you need to also figure out more things.
So let's say for the first few months, 6 months, I don't know, it depends, of course, but maybe having some savings can save you literally.
Go to the KVK, right? Well, these are the technical aspects, but I would say networking in the Netherlands is cool. Even if you are an expat and don't know Dutch, you will find a lot of other expats and even Dutch people in those networking events that for sure are going to help with collaborations and also with feeling that you have a network and that you are not alone in the enterprise of doing your business. So I think, yeah, this is important in the Netherlands and everywhere. Be sure you are doing the taxes right. Maybe hire an accountant. I mean, if you only do the VAT, maybe you can do it on your own, but it's always advisable.
This is really fresh for me because I just went through it. But once you have a business idea, first of all, definitely explore the KVK website. They have a wealth of information there. They even have checklists on step-by-steps, like what to do, what's next, and they have videos that you can watch, and that's super helpful. But I think the next step would be to figure out your structure. So there are different business structures. And then second would be, check if your business name is available. And you can also check that on the KVK website. And then if it's not, then definitely you have to have alternatives. And then once you've checked that, definitely register your business. And once your business is registered, then you got to polish or finalize your foundational aspects, right?
The next question that I had for my colleagues, for my fellow entrepreneurs, was about language skills. In fact, the Netherlands requires more and more Dutch skills and not only English. However, it is still possible to work as a freelancer in some specific areas without having to master the language, or in some cases to learn it at all. As I said earlier, pros and cons. So working as a freelancer makes you have some choices, make you be creative, work with your creativity, and basically do what you like. The cons are, of course, the insecurity of the salary at the end of the month. Have to create a huge, large network and being constantly busy finding new clients, especially when you are starting from scratch. You need to make a name for yourself in a work environment that is quite saturated like the Netherlands. As I said earlier, there are about 28,000 people who are self-employed. And of course, in some fields there are more freelancer than in others. So what are the real pros and cons of working as a freelancer in the Netherlands?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, I think there's a couple ways to start a business on the DAF visa, and I think the most common way for people is to take an existing business that they have in the United States and bring it over to the Netherlands. And I think that that's a little bit easier of a process because you probably have built-in customers and things like that. Um, and so that one is pretty straightforward. Or you can do the very wild thing like I did, which is come over here and have zero business and start from scratch. And I think when it comes to that route, you have to be really open to where you're going to find your clients from and how you're going to market your business. I certainly did some things that were out of my comfort zone when I first started the business, like working with different Facebook groups, like working with some small business connection groups that are available in the Netherlands. And from there things just kind of snowballed and really got up and going with my company. But like that is not the way that I have typically marketed my businesses. And I think that's the one thing that I learned pretty early on is I had no problem marketing and growing businesses for other people in the United States. That I did that for almost 20 years. And the things that I used to do there, like, I was in the tourism industry, so I would go and talk with concierge at hotels, and I would talk to other people in the industry and start referral networks that way. And I attempted to do that here, but they had no idea what I was trying to do because that's not the way business is done here. And so I think the most important thing when you come here and start a brand new business is just be willing to pivot and do something completely different than you thought you were going to do.
Again, because the Netherlands is a very entrepreneurial mindset country, they have a lot of networking events. So you're not alone. And also in the beginning, if you don't know exactly what you want to sell, how you want to sell it, what's your niche, what's your audience, what service do you want to provide, that can also entail the risk of you doing too many things, saying yes to too many people, and then spreading yourself too thin.
This is how I feel it personally. Yeah, entrepreneurship is almost like a calling, like at least for me, it's like a calling. Like I couldn't be right now. I don't see myself working in a company with somebody else. Not because of judgment or for nothing. I don't see myself. I have this calling of entrepreneurship. And if entrepreneurship is calling, I think you cannot ignore it. So for me, I feel it's something very, I don't know, that comes internally sometimes. And that if you have the calling, just do it. It's going to be hard. Like, I think if you don't have the calling, you are probably going to give up because, as you said, there is competitors. It's always hard, even possibly without competitors. It's hard to keep up with the business and build it up and be consistent and grow it. So if you have the itch, definitely scratch that itch. If not, try it if you want, but possibly it's going to be very difficult.
The other thing is, being here on this visa, I'm an entrepreneur and my clients can be from anywhere. So, I mean, I can look at clients who are in the United Kingdom or who are in Ireland. So you're not necessarily just limited to the Dutch companies. So bear that in mind as well.
Next step, I would say, is not to be afraid of making mistakes.
Indeed.
Make them, you will learn from them. And it's the best way to learn, actually, is to make a mistake and then move on. It's a journey with ups and downs. So I would say when we're going through the downs, to remind ourselves of why we started this.
As we already mentioned earlier, there are some steps to follow that are more about admin, but also you need to be aware that it's not easy. In the first year, you might not make enough money, and the good thing in the Netherlands is that basically you can start your own business, your freelancer job, next maybe to a more safe one. Let's say that you are employed in a company and you have an idea of job that doesn't compete with your main one, which means that basically you have the possibility to start a business, to make a name for yourself, start networking, figure it out how and what. And also from a tax point of view, if you don't really have much expense, it is possible to start with the KOR, the core. What is the core? The core is basically the possibility to try. You need to be very careful with this decision because it is taught for people who are starting a small business, but they are not making more than 20K. So it's really a kind of try it out. And it is also supposed to be for people who don't have much expense. In fact, the main feature of the core is that you don't add VAT in your invoices. You are not even required to send invoices actually, but of course you cannot even get the VAT back. So you don't declare VAT, you don't do income taxes for your business, which means that if you had to travel a lot, if you had to buy equipment, etc., you get nothing back. You have no benefits because you are not yet really considered an entrepreneur. But this can be actually a very good way to start. And it doesn't imply anything because the moment you are done and you think, okay, this is not for me, you just inform the Belastingdienst and the KVK. You are done with that and they are gonna just shut it off and that's done. It's easy like that. So at the end of the day, does it still really make sense to work as a freelancer in the Netherlands? And the answer from everybody was and still is yes. Thank you for watching. Find all the contacts of the amazing people I had the chance to interview at the description of the video. Get in touch and I talk to you soon. Bye!